Hello, welcome to part 2 of modals plus present perfect. In this part, we will look at contractions and question forms of modals plus present perfect when talking about regret and blame. Okay, so let's look at the contractions. When we contract these three forms, they go from should have to should have, could have to could have, might have to might have. Now, it's very important to know that in speech, in everyday speaking, people very often say shoulda, coulda, mighta. Okay, so that's what's called a reduction. Okay, and these are very, very common. For example, um, I shouldn't have forgot my umbrella. Okay, so let's take a look at the negative contractions over here. All right, so instead of should have, in the negative, we have shouldn't have. And yes, in reductions, it's shouldn't have. I shouldn't he shouldn't have done something. Okay. Or couldn't have or couldn't and might not have. Okay. Notice that only shouldn't have expresses our regret and blame function. Okay. These couldn't have and might not have, they have little stars next to them because they do a different function that we'll talk about later. Okay. For example, couldn't have is about logic, using reason. Okay. Um, for example, if you see someone is all wet coming in from outside, you might say, he couldn't have brought an umbrella. You're using thinking. You're not having a feeling about the past. Okay, so it's a different function of modals plus present perfect that we will talk about later. Okay, same with might not have. Okay, that's a different function that we will talk about. That function is speculation, okay, or probability. All right. Notice there's an extra circle around this one. That's because might not have is not contracted. Okay. At least in writing. You will have somewhat of a reduction in speech. For example, you might say, um, he might not have. Okay. He might not have brought an umbrella. Okay. So that reduction or making the speech smaller is very, very common. Listen for it. You'll hear it. Okay. Let's move into yes or no questions. Okay. For yes or no questions, we have modal plus subject plus have plus past participle. Should he have brought an umbrella? Okay, that's the form. For yes or no questions. For WH questions, we just add our WH question out front. Why should he have brought an umbrella? Okay, very simple. For short answers, just to wrap up, we have yes, he should have. End of sentence. Okay, these are very common in speech, not very common in writing. No, he shouldn't have. Again, with our reductions, this would sound like yes, he shoulda. No, he shouldn't have. Okay. So again, these two forms are very common in speech. These short answer forms, short response. Instead of saying just yes or no, people often say yes, he shoulda or no, he shouldn't have. And again, not again for the first time, these should have, could have, and might have written out in complete form are best used for formal purposes, for academic purposes. Okay, please don't, or at least avoid using the contractions in formal academic papers and things like that. Okay, so for your homework for this unit, this little topic, I would like you to think about a difficult situation that you experienced in the past. Okay, maybe you didn't bring an umbrella one day, maybe your car was towed, taken away by the police. Maybe you were late to work, okay? Think of a situation that was negative, that was bad in your past, and come up with 5 to 10 sentences that express both regret and blame about the situation, and use modals plus present perfect. Okay? So please write those 5 to 10 sentences in your grammar journals and have those ready for our next class meeting. Okay? Thank you very much. See you next time.